This is Ivan Koloff, the Russian Bear. Yes, I've wrestled many times. I had the pleasure defeating Bruno Sammartino, WWF champion. But I want to encourage everybody to listen to In Your Head, online.com, the best in the West and the East.
Welcome to In Your Head. This week we are joined by Ivan Koloff, the Russian Bear. Welcome to In Your Head.
How you doing, comrades? How are you?
Oh, we're all doing good. And yourself?
Very good, very good. Yes, sir.
Cool.
After all I've went through, I'm lucky to be here.
Yeah, I was reading on your website. You mentioned, you've gone through a lot of addictions in the past.
Yeah. Yes, probably more than for one lifetime for sure, yeah. But, man, it's been exciting, and it's still going on.
Yeah. What advice would you give, like, some of the younger guys starting off in wrestling?
Get a haircut and get a real job.
Well, you always had a haircut.
Yeah. No, I think there's probably, hopefully anyway, going to be a future for professional wrestling the way it used to be. I'm afraid I'm kind of turned off of what's going on today in the sense of, I guess they call that's entertainment, but I'm not really, to me it was an art, wrestling before. It was, it told a story. You got in there and it told a story just in combating each other, grabbing a hold, going after the back, going after the arm with a leg, and instead of getting on there and having a script and going on and on for hours to try to set up a scenario where it gets into the person's personal life. And to me that's just a turn off. I guess they've got a new audience, I suppose, today. I just don't care for it myself. You
mentioned about the scripts. That's something we bring up a lot. Do you think that's bad to have like a script writer write the guy's promos? Do you think it's hard to put yourself into the promo that way?
I think it's harder in the sense of the old time of thinking, as far as we were ourselves, as far as creating ourselves, our own character. Even though the promoter went along with the character, it was still the idea that we made it. Mm-hmm. Whether it was the Macho Man or who it was out there speaking, they're doing their thing, and they felt comfortable with it, and they created this image of this character. And but today, whenever somebody else, like Vince or the promoter, creates the person and tries to project it through you, then you just become an actor. Then you're just doing the lines, you're just portraying what they want. And in a way, I suppose that can be harder, more talent, I suppose, in a sense, because to be able to diversify yourself into different characters. Myself, it took me long enough to get comfortable with the Ivan Koloff character, and for me to be able to change halfway through, I guess would have took me a lot more talent, I suppose.
When did you, who came up with the idea to change you from the Red McNulty character, which I read on your website at ivankoloff.com, to become Ivan Koloff?
Yes, so that was Johnny Rougeau in Montreal. The promotion was Johnny, and Jack Britton was the promoters then. I don't know if you ever remember Gino Brito. Gino Brito's dad was Jack Britton, and of course Johnny Rougeau was, I met his brother, Chuck Rougeau, while on a tour I was fortunate enough to get in 1967 in Japan. And Chuck Rougeau and I, got to know each other, become friends, and he was the one that's seen, what I looked like. And I was a guy about 270, 80 pounds, and I had long hair and the beard and everything. He said, man, I get to see you as a Russian, for some reason. I guess he thought I looked like this character, the leader of Russia years ago, Lenin, and he felt so much so that he called his brother and convinced him that I'd be good at the part, and had me come in there. And 1967, I think it was about 68, fall of 67, and that's where I was. Ivan Koloff was born, type of thing.
Were you?
When they said to you, "You're going to be Ivan Koloff from now on," what were your original thoughts on that?
Yes, sir. Thank you. I was all for it. You know, whenever you go from 1961 to 67, a 6-year period of time, and you're just out there struggling. You're trying to learn, the ins and outs, the psychology of wrestling, the holds, and you're being bounced around, and the character that you're under, even though it's a good one, it was just the idea that you just couldn't let loose with it. It wasn't going nowhere. I was just one of these guys that, was being used to promote other guys, and which is good too. That's important, and I guess in the process I was really learning the ropes of the game. But I much preferred, and whenever they mentioned Ivan Koloff, this character, I started thinking, visualizing now. Russia, how does a Russian speak? And I was around a lot of French people in Montreal, and I said, well, maybe it's an accent, something like them. One of my heroes, of course, Mad Dog Vachon, and got to wrestle against him and with him, and became champion, matter of fact, in Japan, his tag team. And Mad Dog had that heavy, growly accent, and I changed the accent enough that I thought might have been what a Russian person would talk like, and I just molded into that,
Did you find that the gimmick got over better in some countries and did in others, or was it hated everywhere you went?
It just seemed like it got over wherever it went, as far as being accepted as the bad guy, heel type of thing. I think I've had more response, in a sense, here in the United States, because back the Cold War situation back there in the 70s and 80s, the idea that Russia was feared and looked at as being a force that didn't want to mess with. And I think that I've even had a situation where they came down and a couple times it checked me out as far as authorities, FBI and such, to say, hey, you, who are you? What are you doing here? Because they're concerned about the idea. Even back then, there was no terrorist situation, but they just wanted to make sure that this guy that was on TV talking about the Americans and talking about the veterans and of the war, like not too complimentary, I suppose. They're saying we better go down and check him out and find out why he's saying all this stuff.
I guess you knew you were really doing your job well when even the authorities, really bought into the character.
Yeah, really. That was something that was complimentary, but at the same time, I was
probably a little scary about it. Yeah.
Yes, because here I am in this country at that time under a visa, and if somebody just didn't take a liking to you, they could, I guess, ship you out of there pretty quick.
Any of the fans ever, try to be physical with you?
Yes, yeah, a lot of times, more time than I can even remember. But a couple incidents had them come in the ring. One time in Florida, a guy came, and I knew he was coming. I could see him come, a young man, but a big guy, red hair. I can just see him come right up the aisle right there now. I was in a match situation where I was tag team with Saito, and they kept us foreign guys together.
Right.
And it was Saito was actually wrestling Steve Kern, and it was Cobra versus Sleeper, and I was injecting myself into the match whenever Steve Kern had the Sleeper on Saito, and the referee was knocked down. I ended up going in and reversing the situation, and seen this redheaded, kind of huge youngster come running down the aisle, and I knew without a doubt he was coming through the ropes and after me, and he did. He slipped right underneath the ropes and took a swing at me. I thought maybe when he got in there, he'd, keep right on going or something, but he just missed me. I could feel the air from it, but I remember thinking to myself, I got to put this guy away quick, and I did. I was, I guess, lucky in a sense. I didn't consider myself no boxer or nothing, but I caught him, and one was the nose or the eye, but he was bleeding quite bad, went down, and the police grabbed him and pulled him out. As he was yelling on the way out, arrest him, he hit me like he wanted the police to arrest me because for hitting him, but and of course he was in the ring, so he was in the wrong, and they hauled him off.
Yeah. I guess the fans treat you differently now.
Yeah, they do. They really do. I guess I've been around so long, and wrestling has made a complete turn here in the last 20 years to where sports entertainment rather than wrestling, which pretty well indicates to the people that it's not such a competitive thing anymore. It puts it out in the open that it's strictly just a show for entertainment. The people now look at, I guess, and feel like they're smart to what's going on, and they like the respect to the character and the hard work that we put into it years ago, and they're just so complimentary. They just come up and talk about it. I've been doing autographs for the Children's Miracle the last 15 years, different Walmarts and Kmarts and shopping malls all over the place, wherever they let me in, and just to donate my time to sign autographs and to raise money for the Children's Miracle and several other fundraisers. But the people have really voiced to me, you get to know a lot, different fans talking and how they feel about it, and they've really expressed, they really miss the old days of wrestling, the intrigue, what was going to happen, and even in the match, let alone the interviews. It was left. They had to come to the arena to see what was going on, and they wanted to. And a lot of them, I think, are disappointed in the way it's turned out now, although give the devil his due. He's on some big money. Vince has went from a millionaire to a billionaire, so you can't knock success. It's just the idea that it's changed the product, and I just
you never worked
really appreciate the fans being able to adjust to myself as far as back then and now, because now I can have a real good conversation with them, where back then, of course, I had to keep quiet and keep that intrigue there to where I was a mysterious bad guy,
Right.
Now I'm able to talk to them and at the same level.
And everybody can come and meet you at August 11th through the 13th at the Capital Legends Fan Fest, which is going to take place in Rockville, Maryland.
Yes, sir. I'm looking forward to be there on Sunday morning. Matter of fact, I'm going to be sharing with the people before and everybody's welcome to come and listen to some of my stories from my past. I'm going to do a little church service type of interview and just go over my past type of thing and some of the things that happened, and it'll be kind of an open type of question and answer, and I just want to share with them my story. I'm coming out with a book, later this year.
Right.
My life.
Scott Teal?
Scott Teal, and it's going to be a true to account life, the story of my life. So I'll touch on some of the stories that may be in the book, and just to visit with the folks, get to meet them up close, shake their hands, and just to visit with them, and just let them know what God can do in their life if you allow Him to work in your life, take you from where I ended up becoming in wrestling, as far as, and I don't blame just wrestlers for it, but it's the idea of life, the challenges. I ended up getting in a bad situation with drugs and alcohol, ended up being quite a mess before I retired in 1989 with the WCW, and thought that I was a type of person with the stamina and the idea of the bullheadedness to be able to accomplish anything that I set my mind to, but I found out that I wasn't tough enough to quit the drugs and the alcohol, and consequently, by accepting Christ as my Savior and Lord, it ended up giving me the strength to be able to do that. That's the only way I can understand it, because, like I said, I thought I was a tough enough guy. I used to throw the beer out the window, get disgusted with myself, the marijuana, throw the junk away and say, that's it, I'm not going to do it no more, just to turn around and keep doing it again. But it's just the way we're made. Once a person understands that and accepts that fact that you're not complete without accepting God, we're made in His image, and until we accept Him into our lives, that we're just not able to cope with the things of this world. But He gives me the strength, and I turn my life over to Him to be able to not only put up with it, but actually become very happy with my life, and look forward to. I just feel like I'm just getting started again. I'm more excited about my life now than I was when I first started wrestling, because I feel like I have more hope and desire for the future,
Definitely. For more information about the Fan Fest, go to CapitalLegends.com. You mentioned Vince McMahon earlier. Did you ever work for Vince Jr.?
No, Vince Sr. had passed away just after the last time I was there. I wrestled Bob Backlund, early 80s, I think 83, around that time, and I think Vince McMahon Sr. had passed a year later, a couple of years later. I never did end up being invited back or going back, or calling to go back. I just got locked into the NWA, and it became WCW, and was doing very well there with Nikita and everything, and it was just felt like why, the old saying, if it's not broke, don't fix it, and I was just staying right there, and it was a good move. That's why I'm looking forward to, one of the other reasons, besides seeing and meeting and make more friends with the fans on August when I come up there to Rockville, Maryland, but just to see some of my old buddies, that some of them they weren't too friendly in the ring, but got to really respect them, and you get talking about guys like Stan Hansen. I mean, some rough, tough guys, and I mean all of these guys. I really respect them in their own field, just for what they accomplished, and what we had to go through back then. It's just going to be great to see them again.
Yeah, some of the names there is Mass Superstar, Bret Hart, Jim the Anvil Neidhart. One team you had a feud with during the 80s would have been the Rock and Roll Express.
Yeah. Oh, they're great too. Smaller team type of thing, but I'm just a small guy myself, so it worked in real good, they were great. I still see Ricky Morton around the circuit nowadays, and quite a bit. Even Robert once in a while, but all those guys. Bret Hart, man, I go way back to wrestling his dad, Stu Hart, up in Calgary, Alberta, in 1967.
Oh.
Lethbridge, Alberta. I wrestled into a 20-minute draw, and man, I was so thrilled after. I said, man, I went and wrestled and didn't get beat. I was still Rick McNulty on my way out to Montreal, and I didn't get beat by Stu Hart. I mean, he had a big name in the business,
Yeah.
And they're like all the Bret family and Bret's family, the Hart family. They're good. So it's going to be good to see them, and to talk about old days.
Yeah. Did you ever get to go to the dungeon, the famous Hart dungeon?
Yes, matter of fact, when I was out there, I guess that was the original dungeon, because I remember Stu having some guys out there to work out, and I think Stu would end up taking out some of his frustrations on some of the young guys sometimes, just by stretching them a little bit, hearing them holler and yell. But everybody respected Stu Hart for being, a great wrestler. And I seen why when I got in the ring with him and wrestled him. He was really good.
Anybody ever try anything like that on you when you started out? Try to stretch you?
No, he would, for some reason he respected. I guess it was just because of the fact that I was out there on the circuit steady. I wasn't a guy who was just breaking in. I was already broke in, and I was on my way to Montreal, and he knew that. And probably if I would give him the opportunity, but I had already heard the rumor about Stu, and I wasn't going to go for that. Although I did witness a couple guys ended up getting in that situation. Matter of fact, Buddy Roberts, one of the Freebirds that'll be at this Rockville, Maryland meeting, the get-together, is going to FanFest. He's going to be there. We go back a long ways. We started in the business. Matter of fact, I got him started in the business, and he was there. He'll reflect some of the stories. Stu Hart staying. Stu was kind enough to let Buddy come out to his territory and start wrestling there. And Stu seen Buddy Roberts as having some talent and allowed him to wrestle in his area for a month or two there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. What was it like being in the ring with Bruno Sammartino? Because he must have been, the biggest babyface at the time when he won the belt. Exciting,
yeah. He was my hero, and in the wrestling, because he had become champion in '63, and I was just starting to, the wrestling school, just started wrestling around Toronto a little bit. Man, I was impressed. Bruno Sammartino, this Blitzy Italy, 290 pounds, just becomes the WWF champ against Rogers, and then put him in a bear hug and made him submit in just a couple of minutes. And I said, man, I fell in love with him anyway. He was my hero, and just to be able to wrestle him, was a thrill in itself. Let alone in Madison Square Gardens and for the belt, but to end up receiving the belt, getting the belt from a legend, it was, I must say, even though after close to 10 years of experience in wrestling, I was still butterflies and excited, very excited, nervous about being in there with him, but I enjoyed wrestling him very much.
What do you think about him not being in the WWE Hall of Fame?
Oh, I think it's a shame, man. I just got done mentioning that to somebody. I meet people every day like to talk about, the wrestling of the past, and Bruno's name comes up, of course, because I won the belt from him, and he was is such a legend in the business. For the idea of not recognizing Bruno, that to have anything to do with Vince McMahon, Sr. or Jr., with the WWF or WWF or WWE, and to not to have Bruno as the number one person on that Hall of Fame thing, to me, is disgraceful. I believe Vince McMahon Sr. would agree with that. Even if you didn't like him. Even if you're a promoter and you didn't like him, it was just the idea that Bruno still holds the record for most sellouts. Madison Square Garden, just consistent, and that's going back in that time, whenever you didn't have pay-per-views and it was reaching the masses of people throughout the world. You're just dealing with a certain percentage of the population. He was the man, and not to have him in there, I think it's disgraceful. It's just it's stupid to me.
Yeah. He was like the WWF, definitely like the main guy of that era.
Oh yeah, for a good around 10 years, for 7.5 years,
right.
And even though he was a champion during a short period of time there, he regained it and held it again till 71, type thing, and after that, He held it for, for 10 years altogether.
Right.
And to me, I don't know why. I suppose it's a personality conflict or something. I don't know. Maybe Vince Jr. is trying to distinguish himself separate from his dad and say, well, that was the old style of wrestling. Now this is a new, so I'm not acknowledging guys from the past, I think.
I think they won't induct him because he won't show up and accept it. But I think it should matter if he's there or not. I think he should be, inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Oh yeah, if you're accepting football players and I don't know, other people that really, never really wrestled. They might have been on a wrestling show, but they weren't, didn't earn that title to be on there. To me, it's not right to give them. Possibly, the old saying, like, you can get more flies with honey than you can with vinegar, or whatever that saying is.
Right.
It's the idea that if Vince Jr. would just honor him by putting him in there, whether he'll come down in person and accept or not, chances are Bruno would have done more for his program than what's going on now,
Mm-hmm.
But that's between them, I guess, It's just,
have they ever come to you about the Hall of Fame?
No, and it's probably for the same reason. They feel that probably I'm in the same category with Bruno, I suppose, as far as that. Maybe because I'm sure Vince Jr. recognized the fact that I admired and Bruno was my hero, and it was the type of thing that maybe he thinks that I wouldn't accept it or I wouldn't be part of it, or maybe he doesn't want to be part of it. I don't know, but I think it's not showing class. And a lot of the fans feel that way too. They say, well, why? Why are they not doing that? Because in any other sport, whether it's football, hockey, or anything, they always go back, and honor the Arnold Palmers, or the guys that the George Foremans, and
right.
People that go back and the sport and that made it, and give them tribute in some sort. Not to do it for a guy like Bruno. I mean, I can see it for myself, but because I was only champion a short period of time, but still, it's in the record book as being there, and wrestling up there for quite a few years. I guess I'd much more have more respect for the fact that if he would just end up returning a phone call or having, I suppose, the decency just to acknowledge whatever person like himself uses characters on his, like myself, on his videos and makes millions of dollars off of it and pays some guys a royalty and not others. To me, it's like cheap.
Yeah, I believe you were on the one of the Steel Cage DVDs. Yeah,
at least that. Plus several other videos or DVDs that's been produced for individuals like the Road Warriors, like Dusty Rose. Right. And, I mean, if the whole product, that video or that DVD, is producing some revenue for you, acknowledge the guys that end up doing it. I mean, I don't care if you think that you purchased the rights to it or not. You don't purchase the rights to anything unless you give the signature of that person. I mean, just because I wrestled for the NWA or the AWA or any other organization, it doesn't give a promoter the right to go ahead and use that footage to make more money on without compensating that person unless they got a release from me, which they never did.
Mm-hmm.
They never got a release.
Do you have a question from the message board, Injure?
Yeah, Flea, he wants to know who was your better partner, Crusher or Nikita?
Oh, boy. Now, as far as a better partner, it depends on how you define better, because Crusher was a good worker, good wrestler, good performer, look the part, speak, and could go out there and, he proved, look at all the characters he projected, the
Right.
Repo Man, the Demolition,
Yeah.
Blacktop Bully, Crusher Khrushchev. He was a real good wrestler. Now, Nikita came along when Crusher was already doing this, right? He was already polished product already, and Nikita came along, and Nikita was being developed. Now, later on, Nikita, as far as drawing money, drew money, and he did his character great. I mean, what a professional he turned out to be, as far as I'm concerned. Now, as far as, comparing him to, whatever, a guy that is a real technical wrestler, Ric Flair, or Benoit, or somebody that's a real technical wrestler, you couldn't compare Nikita that way, but in his role, he's sure got it done, So I couldn't pick one as being better than the other. I think as far as being in the ring, and I had a 60-minute match back in those days, and I had a partner, I'd rather pick Crusher in the sense that he was more experienced, and I wouldn't have to do as much work type of thing,
Mm-hmm.
But as far as drawing the money, Nikita got him in there because he convinced him.
Yeah, it wasn't. It was probably not till about 10 years ago did I even know he wasn't Russian.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
I still think he is.
Do you still keep in contact with Nikita?
Oh, yes. Yeah, man, I'm so proud of him. He's doing great. He's an evangelist, missionary, and pastor. He even took his gym that he had there at Concord, Fortress of Fitness, and converted it into a church and pastors that. And he's been, all over the world as a evangelist, as a missionary. He's been to Africa like 10 times, North Korea, Russia, China. He's taking it serious like he took his wrestling, and more so. And just like 2 weeks ago, Nikita calls me up. He keeps in touch every once in a while, and same with me. And get a chance here in between our schedule, we call each other. He called me out, and he said, Uncle, he said, how you doing? I just felt led by the Lord to call and pray for you today. And I said, oh, thank you, Nicky. What a change. From this guy, this big monster of a guy that was all pumped up over here, that knocked heads off of people and sat in the car so solemn and seemed like he was so unhappy, to this person today that is, on fire for the Lord, and as you can just tell, he's excited about life and about what he's doing. Man, I'm so proud of him. He's so good.
Speaking of some other big guys, you guys had a lot of matches with the Road Warriors. Did you enjoy those matches?
Oh, yeah. Anytime you had a full house, it made it so much, your work so much easier, because, you were wrestling back then 7 days a week, and a lot of those days you had to work 2 or 3 times with TV, a double shot, and your schedule hardly any time off year-round. You're hurt all the time. And whenever you got into the ring, and even though you're going in there against a couple of powerhouses, as far as I was concerned, that I couldn't do a lot with, I just it made it whenever you seen that the building was full, the excitement was there, and you knew that you had a couple of great athletes in the ring on the other side of the ring. I felt honored because I would have felt like I wasn't in that league yet. At one time I was, because I was a 300-pounder, But most of the time when I wrestled them, I had dropped my weight down to like the 230, 225, and man, it was quite awesome type thing to be in there and to be wrestling with them. They're really a good couple of guys. At first I didn't think so when they're knocking my head around in the ring, but you get to respect guys like that have such great talent and athletes, And that goes for a lot of other guys, that I've wrestled.
Yeah, I would say you were the smallest of those four guys when you were tagged with Nikita. So you took most of the punishment during those matches.
I deserved it. Well, I kind of felt, I was the one that was on the interviews, and I was doing most of the talking, and the whole thing revolved around the Russian thing, and I was the original. It felt like even though I got beat or got beat up, we still retained our that feeling that the people hated us because we're. I'd get back on that interview and not pay Americans again, and they'd hate me just as much again.
Right. It probably would have took something away from the Nikita character if he was the guy that would have taken a lot of the moves and been pinned.
Yeah. Matter of fact, I even mentioned that at the time. After a few years, it got to the point where they felt that they should be, he shouldn't be featured quite as much. And I went to his defense pretty quick, and that was probably my downfall because, well, unfortunately, Magnum TA got hurt, and I guess Dusty Rose, being he was in the office at the time, needed a partner and influenced the office to take Nikita in as one and switch him to being a good guy onto being his partner, the superpowers, and consequently, without really my knowledge until after the fact, and it was something that made me quite a bit upset because it not only hurt me as far as the idea of being done behind my back, but also the idea that it cut my paycheck in half. So after all my hard work with Nikita, but I didn't blame Nikita in, but I knew where it was coming from. It was the office there just thinking business, and they felt that would be the thing that would draw it by grabbing him. And
a lot of people say, Dusty tried to put himself with like the top guys. Did you have any problems working with Dusty?
No, I made a lot of money with Dusty. Over the years, I can't knock that. Wherever I wrestled against him, whether it was from the Carolinas here to Florida, out in Texas, just wherever I went, I always ended up, and even Atlanta area, wrestling against Dusty quite often. But Dusty was a smart wrestler. He was trained by one of the best, psychology-wise, Eddie Graham down there, and he learned the ropes as far as promotion and all that. He's a smart guy. He just capitalized on it and put himself in a position when he, in different areas to have that say or that control, and hey, can't knock a guy for that, right? That's what competition is.
You got another question from the board, Incher?
Jobber to the Stars, he wants to know if you have any good rip stories.
Any good rib stories?
Yeah.
I wasn't a ribber myself, but we do know some that were, and God bless him, Johnny Valentine. Of course, his name's going to come to mind right away, and it's in a friendly tone too, and the remembrance of him. Johnny always liked to play some ribs. The only time he ever played a rib on me, and it wasn't real bad or anything like that. He ended up when we're at the Raleigh TV doing TV, he ended up putting something that was one of those smell bombs type things,
right?
And in my bag. And I came back, and I didn't have to look around very much. I knew pretty well where it came from, and I could hear him giggling in the background as it was, I was hosting it, and I didn't put it over too much in the dressing room. Just, man, what's this? But I knew who had done it, and what I did is I wasn't riding with Johnny that night. A lot of times we rode together. But I knew where he parked his car because we used to meet at a certain place and used to try to double up on driving together. But I beat them back to that spot, and what I did on the way is I stopped and I got bought a potato from a grocery store, and I took it back when I got there. I ended up taking it I had heard that if you took it and stuffed the pinata into the muffler, it would blow the muffler.
Right.
And sure enough, the next day he came in and somebody blew up my muffler last night because he knew that it wasn't just his muffler blew up for no reason. Somebody joke on him, But of course, I didn't admit it to John because he'd be the type to get back at me after that. Yeah, he was like that. Just usually just fun stuff, like just that make you laugh in the dressing room or something. But sometimes guys would take it personal and get a little hot. There is a story about one Smasher Sloan, I think, ended up, shooting. What was that? That was one of those guns that you use for catching big fish, whaling gun or something.
Oh,
yeah, yeah, harpoon gun.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and, he ended up playing a joke on, I think it was Smasher Sloan, I think, years and years ago. I might have the guys mixed up, but I'm pretty sure I heard the story right. And he came in and whether he just threatened to do it or he actually shot it at him. I understood he shot it at him, like, luckily he didn't hit him with it, but he was angry, to say the least. Yeah.
It's a bit more than a rib if you would have hit him with it.
Yeah, but those kind of ribs was a little bit too much. I'm sure those. I really didn't get into it. I tried to stay away from that ribbing stuff because, man, that can cause people a lot of heartache and headache, and and especially when it dealt with hurting them physically,
Yeah, definitely. Before I let you go, anything you want to tell your fans why they should come out and see you in August at the Capital Legends Fan Fest?
Oh, I would love them to come out and visit, shake hands, and members of days of the past of the wrestling, and just meet them in person and come on out to the Fan Fest. If you've never been part of one before, then take my word for it. It's something that you definitely want to attend because, there's just so much history there, so much just the boys just get into talking about stories and stuff that, go back, and it's so entertaining just to see these guys, and then whenever you go back and see some of the old tapes and everything, and you've met the person, got their autograph in person, it just means so much more to have that in your treasure box, just to go there. And I would just invite everybody not to miss it, come out, and I'm not even sure if everybody said, but just a few names that you've mentioned already, it's worth going there to see because these are great guys and had super careers in the business. And show up now before, if you're there on Sunday morning, come down to the service and let me share some more with you about some of the crazy antics that I did. I ended up being quite a bad boy in my career, but this will be a worthwhile weekend for you folks. I'd encourage you to come out and say hello.
Oh, we really appreciate you coming on this evening. When I started watching wrestling in the '80s, you're one of the big villains that I didn't like back then. I like you now.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Yeah. I always wondered one thing. One last question: why did all the Russians always have their head shaved?
That's a good question. I was probably one of the first guys to start that. I was looking back. The only guys I remember whenever I started wrestling was Hans Schmidt. He was a German guy. Was Fritz von Erich. He had a shaved head. There were two German guys. Mm-hmm. And I can't remember any of the Russian guys. It could have been. But I suppose it just makes sense, really, as that you shave your head in wrestling so the guys don't pull your hair and everything. But I think, in my case, I ended up shaving it because I started losing my hair real young, and on top of it, they asked me to shave it, and I wasn't going to turn that down, that offer, to just be part of such a thrilling sport,
Yeah, and then I remember the couple times when they turned babyface, Nikita and Nikolai Volkov, they both grew their hair back.
Yeah, it takes away their character. I think they look better bald. And Nikita, to this day, started shaving his hair again now because he said so many people stopped recognizing him. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely did took away something. But thanks again for coming on.
This is Bruno Sammartino, and you're listening on InYourHeadOnline.com.